Okay, we are recording.
So just doing a psychic weather report. I think the energy that we're in at the moment is trying to switch off our perception of magic. And it's being done very, very subtly, where it's gently easing us back to not seeing everything as magic.
I can describe that. I think we were both experiencing it yesterday, but I was kind of right down the rabbit hole. It's like a boa constrictor. It's that very like being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and that's probably why I had a massive headache.
And the way that they do this is, like as Angie described, like a boa constrictor, and they use the monetary system to do that. So
Yeah.
it will be you can't afford to pay your bills. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That kind of analogy is going on with a lot of people at the moment. Where everything that you do is not on solid ground, so you always feel you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because with the pandemic, it was very clear what the right thing to do was. So the right thing to do was wear a mask, socially distance, have your jab.
Yeah. This is how you be virtuous.
This is how you be virtuous. So that's kind of gone. So this energy has moved into other areas, and I'd say this is trying to get you to go back to the mundane, because that was a very surreal experience, which would open anybody that is
What the con?
anybody that is psychic, their crown chakra would have immediately opened, which is always the like a good template for that would be like you can feel it up your neck, so it feels like the people would describe it as like a panic attack. But it's not. It's your psychic antenna going up your spine to open your crown chakra, so you're fully aware. Like you get, like you're working on mono. It's like one
channel.
One channel, one frequency. And then when you get this kind of panic coming over you, so it goes up your spine.
It's like it's going into full on HD surround sound.
And you do. You become very aware of everything, and your body becomes super sensitive. So it literally senses anything that's in like the ether, and also you want to defecate. That's why you run to the toilet.
Yeah, you're releasing.
And that energy's definitely here at the moment. I know it's in the crown chakra because I'm getting a lot of head things.
Yeah.
At the
Crown
moment.
chakra, third eye as well.
Yeah. But things are changing. I definitely would say things are changing, or the energy is changing, to be more precise. So, to put the label on the jar, you have to change that energy. The energy is to, whatever you do in your practice, magically, double it up. So if you read cards, read them at least 3 times a day. If you and have them in a bag or in your pocket, take them with you. Have them.
If you use crystals, use them more. If you connect with deity or, any other metaphysical being, which are you, by the way, do that more. If you do meditation, do that more.
If you have salt baths, more salt baths.
More.
If you go walking in nature, do that more. Anything that keeps you connected to magic.
And your true nature.
I definitely double it up. double it up.
Yeah.
And keep doing it until that subsides again. Because how that comes up is you'll get the distraction and it'll pull you into this energy. And this energy it holds you.
Mm.
And you can feel it because it's quite heavy.
Very heavy. It's very dark. It's very dark. Yesterday felt very, very dark for me.
And as you practice those things, so if you're practicing meditation or breath work or just self-affirmations, I think the most important one is recognising what you are.
Mm.
That's key. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about that as well, that we are beings of light.
Mm-hmm.
Ascended masters, and stay to that, because either we're beings of light or we're just humans. So choose to be the being of light. Be open to that with love consciousness. Once you cross that line, you step over with love consciousness, then we're handing that over to love consciousness. Love consciousness will look after that.
Mm.
Well, you have to trust that. But it is in the quickening, so we slow down, we focus on the breath, we don't move as quickly. Where we can not interact with society, the societal matrix, choose those routes. So rather than going to the pictures, go for getting into nature, or into a park, or somewhere where it's away from that societal matrix. And also, as you do that, as you kind of slow down, let that be natural as much as you possibly can. Yeah. Mm. So you're essentially your vibration. You're changing that frequency, that vibration, back to your natural frequency, which then will allow you to have all these downloads and paradigm shifts, and also how to deal, because one of the things that comes up in a lot of dialogue outside of the silence is saying that we've got this new thing coming, which is the golden age, or it's here rather.
Mm-hmm.
But very little about how you do that. Yeah. And that's a slight problem, because it's all unknown.
Mm.
Yeah. That's why I say, if you just draw that line and step over to love consciousness, then leave that to love consciousness. But you do have to slow down in when you practice.
Be proactive as opposed to reactive.
Yeah, and if something comes up where you've got to make a quick decision, what would be an example?
Well, a quick decision would be imminent danger. I'd say that's the only time you'd need to make a quick decision. Anything else really doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool.
So for anyone who feels lost in this societal matrix, who feels alone or unsupported, or doesn't really have a spiritual path, is not in two minds about different things, and just the whole pressure of what's sort of going on, whether it is it'd be the feeling of overwhelm, which would be in our blogs that we do when we start doing those. I think if you have an understanding of everything that ever was, is, and will be. So that all that understanding is that there's a logic to it. So everything in the natural world, trees, the earth, the animals, including ourselves, is all the natural world. So what comes out of the societal matrix is created by human brains. Yeah. So that would also be the natural world as well. So when we are worrying about different things that are going on in the world, like whether it's overbuilding in houses or people not communicating and threatening war and things like that, that at that point, or the death cult, that idea, if we step over and we align with love consciousness, yeah, your natural frequency, yeah, and leave that to source, everything that ever was, is, and will be, because that's source's business. Whatever source is doing, in the long run, that you can trust that. Yeah, that's really none of your business. Yeah, you can trust that, which will help with the feeling of being overwhelmed. So, for example, if you've got a big, like if you watch the news, you're constantly watching things which you cannot really affect. You can on one level, obviously on a metaphysical level, but on a physical level you can't really affect it, which can give you a sense of overwhelm.
And powerlessness.
So when people are saying don't watch the news, what they're basically saying is don't watch other people's thought forms, because that's essentially what they're displaying, is ascension energy within that thought form, which is then a distortion. So, for example, like war, for example, is a lack of communication. So that's just those people have to learn how to kind of communicate. But that's their business. But they are all connected to source. Everything that ever was and will be. An essential thing is here is if you test that by saying, talking to the natural world, which has this, amazing golden, what's the word?
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
The golden, what's it called now?
Ratio.
Yeah, the golden ratio. So everything that is in nature has this beautiful way of design.
Sacred geometry.
Yeah. So there is huge intelligence behind that. Well, if there's huge intelligence behind that, that's running an ecosystem just on one small planet and so on, or whatever you kind of want to believe. But if there is a huge intelligence, so you can talk to that. You can have this dialogue and this relationship with it on a personal level. But what it will do for you is allow you to go, I'm feeling really, really overwhelmed, so can I give it to you? And it will take it.
Give the energy back to the earth, because she doesn't see it as, a negative or a positive energy. She just sees it as energy, so she can use it. Absolutely.
But it's tangible. She doesn't have to draw on any kind of religions or anything. I'm not saying anything wrong with that if it floats your boat. But you can literally give it back to source. Everything that I always say, everything that ever was, is, and will be. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can you take this back? Just in a short meditation of no more than 10 seconds. Just close your eyes.
You can visualize it as we've all been shopping and got something that I had to do it yesterday actually. Got something that doesn't fit or it's not quite right. So think of it like that. So you're returning something that you actually doesn't serve you. So think of it like that. You know, I'm returning this for a refund. Thank you very much. I don't want this. I'm returning it. Thank you. Cool. We are recording.
So, one of the conversations we've had this morning was about being able to say no.
Mm-hmm.
N-O, no. And I was looking at, before the pandemic, where in the little bit of history with how I know this is, I used to regularly go up to Watkins and Foyle's, which are two massive bookshops on esoteric studies, the occult.
Up in London.
Yeah, these are up in London. And not a pop into Waterstones. And just to get the general kind of feel of what London was doing, being a Londoner, as you can probably tell with my lovely London tones. And when I used to do that, I got to know very well the different sections in the bookstores and what was coming out, what was the latest kind of thought forms that were coming out from different arenas. So the medical, because in Foyle's there's a huge medical section which is in the basement. But in that basement is also a huge section for like New Age and alternative thinking. But before 2020, there, well, certainly from 2000 onwards, well, the other bit of history, just to quickly change that, is there were no bookshops, very rare, where you could actually go and buy any of these books. And up until probably about 2000, when you had a bookstore called Borders appear, which when they actually went down in 2008 because of the financial crash. But there was Borders and Waterstones, and there were a number of other ones. But they had a lot of very different kinds of books. But out of that came Waterstones and the Works. So it's kind of, you've got, and the Works is really good because it has books in there which is just gives you a little taste. Because to get esoteric books, you would have to go up to Watkins or Foyle's or
Atlantis Bookshop.
Yeah, or Treadwell's.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, and other various outlets. But when Waterstones came along and when Borders came along, they did have sections where some of the writers would put out the thing. Anyway, that's a side salad. So one of the things that came out of that whole kind of psychopop is books on learning how to say no. And I think in negotiating this whole thing that people are going to be talking about over the next summer, of like this craziness that is sort of going on, I think it's saying no. So practice saying no, because it is very difficult to say no. In your mind, you're going to say no. In your voice, you're going to say no. But these chakras, which we will be doing some work on that with crystal bowls, but this chakra, the throat chakra and the third eye, work together. So what the mind says sometimes can't come out through the throat. So I'm going to say no. Okay, I can, and then you say something. You think, oh,
I wish I hadn't said that.
So it's just saying no, but it comes in many different forms. So the government's doing an emergency alert thing. So I'm saying no, so I'm turning that off. So I'm sure a lot of people have done
You
that.
can switch it off on your phone.
But learn to say no. This is a tool from love consciousness. Learn to say no. Slow down when you come to that decision. There is a bit before saying no, which is just give me time to think about it. But if you definitely want to say no and trust it. And yeah, there was a lot of books written about that before 2020, where spirit was coming in through that genre and teaching people you're going to have to say no. So trust that no. And when it is a yes, yeah, it's going to be high frequency. That's how you can tell the difference of these thumbprints. If it's high frequency, you're going to know it. So it's going to be yes, 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 yes. If it is low frequency, say no. And trust that. There's nothing wrong with saying no. But it is difficult, so you're going to have to teach yourself how to say no.
Personal responsibility, self-discipline.